You've been a leader in the Senate when it comes to tech issues. What are your plans technology-wise come January? I know you've been looking at a lot of things.
Well, there's a whole raft of very important high technology matters that have to be taken care of. One of the ones that I think we can get done is the patent troll issue. As you know, these are cases where a person, the people who want to violate the law, they form a phony corporation with no assets or anything in it, and then they sue everybody under the guise that they've acquired some patents that they claim are infringed. And in the process, there's no way you can. If you take them on, it's about $2 million to defend the case. If you win, you can't get anything because they'll just defunct the corporation and walk away. And I think we can change that to the point where we're going to have some rules that do not allow this type of injustice to continue. Now, there are good arguments on both sides. There are good patent trolls, people who if they lose, you can get your attorney's fees from, and there are bad patent trolls which have to be stopped, as far as I'm concerned. I was surprised when Chairman Leahy of the the Judiciary Committee that I'm also on, used to chair, that he pulled the legislation right when we were going to pass it. And I'll tell you why. I think the president was part of that. The second biggest hard money donors outside of the unions to give money to Democrats are the personal injury lawyers. And I have to say that they were not going to take on the personal injury lawyers, even though they go out to Silicon Valley all the time and get a lot of money out of those areas. And I have to say a lot of the Silicon Valley people think they're Democrats because, their wives are for abortion. And what's abortion got to do with their high-tech knowledge and high-tech abilities? And they're starting to wake up out there because they realize that these people in the Congress sometimes just don't shoot straight. And in this particular case, that shouldn't have happened. We should have passed that bill. There are lots of other bills that we have to get done and get through, because the high-tech industry is really one of the most important industries in our country. And one thing we do have to do is get a cybersecurity bill, because we have so many nations that are pretty effective with regard to the internet and destructiveness on the internet. And there's no use kidding. Just recently, it's been reported in the news that a number of these nations, including China, Soviet Union, former Soviet Union, and others, literally have the ability to shut down a lot of our facilities, especially our electrical facilities and so forth. So we got to get wise here and do what's best in the interest of our country. There are a lot of other issues too, but those are two that we have to get on top of.
You mentioned those frivolous lawsuits. It seems sometimes when anything is bad for the country, it seems to be good, quote unquote, for the Democrat Party. It kind of rallies people, frivolous lawsuits, racial division, the deal in Ferguson, when there's a weather catastrophe, that start hearing about global warming. It's a sad state commentary on that party. But
well, I'll never forget one of the leading Democrats, a close friend, by the way. We were on the trolley going from the Hart Building to the Capitol, and I said, there were all kinds of stories about how we've had 10 years of global cooling. So I was kind of jabbing him a little bit. I said, "Hey, how's the global warming going along there?" And he said, "Shh." He said, "Shh." He said, "No. Climate change."
Right.
Well, everybody believes in climate change. We know it's constantly changing.
Right.
But they have used that as a weapon, I think irresponsibly, for a long, long time. We all know that we need to have cleaner air and all that, those type of things, but they use it as a weapon that is really, and they use false information. That's the thing that just kills me. I think we ought to all be concerned about making sure our environment is as clean as it can be, but they've changed from global warming, where they know they were getting their heads handed to them, to now climate change that everybody believes in, like they're the originators of thoughts on climate change. Now, these are the type of things that really bother me. I mean, they pick up these issues, and then the Democrats make big fusses about them, and the liberal media, now Sharon understands this. She has been beaten up irresponsibly by the liberal media in this country, to the degree that I hope people start realizing she's a great person, or they wouldn't be doing it to her. But we do that. We get that every day back here in Washington because the media is, I'd say, at least 90% in favor of the far left, and there are even articles lately where they said we should quit pretending to be neutral or fair, because they're not. And that's, if you want to pick one person out of a lot of people in our society who has been terribly maligned and terribly mistreated by our media in this country, I would rank Sarah Palin right up there at the top, and she deserves much better treatment by the media than she's getting. She's a good soul. She's a good lady, and she's tough. She's smart, and I think she loves this country and has made a real difference.
Yeah, and when you talk about global warming, Governor Palin pointed out how even the Weather Channel founder has talked how that's a sham. So we're finally getting some folks to speak up against those. Well,
you are, but I'll tell you, you can't make it in the intellectual world today without spouting off some of this global warming, impropriety. I mean, I have to say, we all know there's something to climate change. We all know that the air can get dirty, and we need to clean it up and all that. But what they want to do is use that to control everybody and to control every state, like using the Environmental Protection Agency to shut down huge swaths of land in especially the western states. There's some of that is just phony as can be, and I just hope we can get people to stand up back in Congress so that we can keep our nation happy, active, and clean, but not take these phony approaches that really take us down the economic pathway to destruction.
Governor Palin is a champion for life issues, and you've certainly done your part there, too. Specifically, you've been a great proponent for adoption, and you've encouraged people to consider adoption. Why is that important to you?
Well, I don't think we should ever put a preborn person to death. I don't think we should ever fail to help somebody who's born into this life. And adoption is a very, very important thing. When I practiced law, I never charged for adoption. I'd always help people to get them. And if I did charge, it was a pittance. The fact of the matter is that I considered adoption, when I saw the joy in the eyes of the woman who might not have been able to have a baby, but got an adopted child, it was worth everything. And oddly enough, a number of women who I worked with, and their husbands, who adopted children, then became pregnant. And it's just amazing how that worked. But I saw a number of that happen, and they were really overjoyed to have not only an adopted son or daughter, but also their own flesh and blood children.
Well, Senator Hatch, we thank you for all you do and all you fight for in Washington, and thank you so much for always standing up for Governor Palin. That's most appreciated.
Well, I appreciate her. You tell her not to get discouraged because, these people, if she wasn't making sense, if she wasn't making headway, they wouldn't be attacking her like they do. And let me tell you, they wouldn't be wasting the time if she was some idiot or some dumb person. But she's a very, very smart woman. She's an absolutely beautiful woman. And I mean that more than physically. She's a beautiful person in many, many ways. And she sure has my support. I just think the world of her. You got it. They call her irrelevant, and then they talk about her for 5 hours, right? That's right. Unbelievable. Yeah, you got the point. If they didn't think she was effective, they wouldn't be talking about her. I'll tell you that right now. All right. Senator Hatch, God bless you, sir, and Merry Christmas. Well, same to you, and give Sarah and her husband and family my regards, will you? My love. You got it, sir. Thank you. You bet. For more on Orrin Hatch, visit hatch.senate.com.
This past week on social media, Sarah Palin wrote, quote, "At a time when our nation is too often divided on the challenges facing us, it's such a great blessing that we can all come together to remember just how blessed we are to be Americans. Thanksgiving is an opportunity to remind our children why our nation is exceptional. God has truly shed his grace on thee, America. Let's take time today to express our gratitude for the providential hand that has always guided us to a better future. And remember to hug your loved ones and tell them how grateful you are for them. We can never do that too much. Happy Thanksgiving, and may God continue to bless our country," unquote. A beautiful sentiment from Governor Palin. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter @SarahPalinUSA, and visit SarahPalinChannel.com.